Earlier this afternoon, the ECB increased their three key interest rates by 50 basis points. It was a much needed hike to tackle their increasingly higher inflation. This did surpass the initial 25 basis point hike that was communicated to the markets prior to the release. They were stating that it was appropriate to take a larger first step as inflationary risks continue. The anti-fragmentation tool, now called the Transmission Protection Instrument, or TPI, was approved, hoping to stabilise the bond markets and to try and keep the yield suppressed across the many different countries in the European Union. The amount of TPI purchases depends on the severity of the risks. On the back of the hawkish ECB, we saw some clean moves prompted by euro strength, followed by a sharp correction back to the pre-release price, triggered by comments made by Christine Lagarde that the ECB is capable of going big on TPI in order to keep borrowing costs in the respective economies around Europe. The clean moves provide some good opportunities to trade, which we'll have a look at now. We will have a look through euro dollar. There was the opportunity to get a straddle, which we will now look through. So the levels we outlined pre-release for a longer term buy and sell. We can see the level we identified on the upper side has been respected quite nicely. On the lower side, obviously hawkish, so we saw some strength across the euro there. If we go down to a 5-minute chart, we can see that we were provided with a nice range. So coming through here, we can outline a range from 11.25 going through these highs and through the lows here. So this provides us with a range pre-release where nobody's rushing into positions. People are waiting for this release to come out, meaning we can get a buy order above this range and a sell order below. It's always best to take the extremes of these ranges, which would be up here and below here, just to ensure that we have got our orders in a correct place and are going to catch the correct movements. So here we can see we have a nice range of about 19.6 pips. So it's a fairly nice range formed from 11.25 until it breaks cleanly at 1.15 at the time of the data release. So in this case, we could have had an order to buy, an order to go long at the high of our range, placed at maybe 10 minutes past 1, with a stop loss below the low of our range, and we're just hoping to catch that volatility after our data release. So you can see if we targeted up towards our large 4-hour range, we would have hit that perfectly. We can see we got a nice V-shaped recovery back down to these pre-data releases. We also would have had an order to go short on the low side of this range, also targeting a 4-hour level of support on the downside. Luckily, we had a nice clean break through the top and a very aggressive move up on the back of our hawkish ECB. So this provided a nice trading signal, a nice entry point for this trade, nice and clean, which is what we like to see for our straddles. I think that's it for now. I think that's all we have to go through for the moment. We will be back again later in the week or start of next week with another market snapshot. So thank you all for listening, and we will speak to you soon.